Welcome to day 4 of the Kingdom Builders Challenge. Hey friend, let me tell you something. Today is where most people get a little uncomfortable. That's because we're talking about discipline. We're not talking about motivation today. We're not talking about hype today. We're not talking about inspiration today. Today, we're talking about discipline. And here's the truth. Most people won't say this out loud. They won't say motivation is me being emotional and discipline is governmental. What does that mean? Discipline helps govern the activity and the levels of our success. Because motivation comes and goes, but discipline always stays in place. So kingdom builders, they don't wait until they feel ready to get things done. They move because they are committed and not just convinced. So let me say it clearly that if your life is built on and requires constant motivation just to move forward, here's the truth, friend. It's not built on structure. It's built on emotions. And we're going to take a look at that as we go through what we have lined up for you today. So let's get right to it. So I mentioned that discipline versus emotion. Motivation is emotional, discipline is governmental, but we don't wait until we feel it. We move forward because we're ready. Here's the hard truth, friend, about emotion. Emotions are high. When our emotions are high, intelligence is low. We don't make good decisions when we're emotional. So part of today is about how to switch from being emotional in my decision-making process and how I can be more disciplined in making the decisions that I need to make as it relates to my business, my life, my ministry, etc. So identity needs discipline. Our identity, it needs discipline. Identity without discipline is just a theory. Now, vision without execution stalls. However, discipline turns belief into behavior. You have to act on what you believe. And between acting on what you believe, you build the discipline, and the discipline will allow you to continue to act on what you believe. You know, I remember a number of years ago, a friend told me a story about a man that was believing God to be rescued during a storm. And so the floods were coming, the rains were getting hard, and the emergency evacuation team came throughout the town. They told everyone, you need to evacuate. You need to evacuate. The flood is coming. The man said, God told me he's going to take good care of me. I'm not leaving. I'm trusting and I'm believing God. The flood water came, the water got up to his front porch, and then it got to his first floor, and he went to the second floor. And then the rescuers came past again. They said, sir, you need to evacuate. The flood waters are continuing to go up higher. He said, no, I'm believing God, and God is going to rescue me. The rain continued to fall. The flood continued to go higher and higher. Eventually, the man was on the roof of his house. A helicopter flew over top and says, sir, you need to evacuate now. The waters are getting higher and higher. The water continued to go higher, and eventually, unfortunately, the man drowned. The man gets to heaven. He goes up to God and says, hey, God, what's the deal, man? He said, God, you said you were going to take care of me. God said, I did. He said, I sent the emergency vehicles, I sent the boat, and I sent the helicopter. That you refuse to act on what the structure, the help that I've sent. What's the point in all of this? The point is this, friend, is that the space between acting on what you believe, it's discipline, and discipline is an intentional behavior. So if there's anything, any level of success, when I say thing, I'm talking now specifically marketplace success that you want at a high level, it's going to require a certain level of discipline. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27, the Apostle Paul said that I discipline my body and bring it into subjection. Discipline is governance. It's not punishment. It's discipline. It's bringing things into order. You know, if you were working out and you go to the gym, you may not feel like going to the gym. You may not feel like doing a mile on the treadmill and then lifting various weights. You may not feel like doing it, but as long as you are consistent and you're disciplined, eventually the results are going to show up. And so that's the same way how discipline works. And so discipline is really deciding in advance who's in charge. Are you in charge, or is your day in charge? Are you in charge, or is your body in charge? Are you in charge or are your emotions in charge? It has to be purpose over impulse. It has to be your calling over comfort. There are things, friend, that God is going to call you to do in the marketplace that may not feel comfortable. It may not make sense from the natural or to the natural eye. I got a friend that's in masonry, the master masonry. He does masonry work, and he is God-led in his business. And so he and I was talking a month ago, and he was telling me about a situation where whenever he goes out on a contract, whenever he goes out to put in an estimate to get a new job, he keeps in mind that it's always about the people and it's never about the money. And he was telling me about a man that he met, an elderly gentleman, that when he walked in, he saw the elderly gentleman on a couch, and he began to minister to him, ask him, how you doing? And the guy began to cry, and he began to minister to him, Christ. And the man and his wife got saved that day, and they had a sickness that they were dealing with. The long story short is my friend turned around and said, hey, listen, don't pay me to do the job. I'm going to do the job for you. It's a $10,000 job. He brought his crew out. He paid his crew to do a job. He sold $10,000 into that man's life. What am I talking about? Sometimes when you're called to do things in the marketplace, it may not make you feel comfortable, but you have to trust the assignment and trust what God is doing and what God is building in you. And God can build those things in you when you're disciplined about acting consistently on the things that he gives you to do. So why do people really fail? People fail not just in business, not just in ministry, not just as an employee, not even in life. They fail not because they lack ability. They fail because of inconsistency, and they're depending on feelings instead of structure. They're depending on feelings and not structure. And so what I'm intentional about doing today is building or giving you some basic building blocks so that you can have structure. So here's a kingdom builder mindset. Small disciplines done daily creates massive incomes. Solomon 2:15 says it's the little foxes that destroy the vine. Well, if little foxes are destroying the vine, it's little foxes, it's little steps, it's little incremental increases that gives you your overall success. Think about this, friend. If you can increase your life by 1% every day, if you can increase your life by 1% every day, in about 90 to 100 days, you would have 100% increase in your life. Does that make sense? You don't need perfect days. You just need repeatable days. That's good. Write that one down. You don't need to have perfect days as you build your business in the marketplace. You just need to have days that you can repeat. You need to have success and wins consistently. That's the result of intentional behavior. So audit your life. Here we go. This is where we start getting a little uncomfortable. Audit your life, friend. What do I do only when I feel like it? I only do these things when I feel like it. What habits, right? Thoughts, patterns, behavior do I abandon under pressure? Here's the final question. This is the valuation time frame. Where am I emotionally instead of structure? Where am I emotionally? Are my emotions getting a vote in everything that I do, as opposed to a structure, a process that I have in place? Discipline builds trust with three people. Number one, you build trust with yourself when you are disciplined. You go to, and I use the gym as an example. You work out consistently a certain way every week. After a while, there's a certain stamina and or strength that your body will build, and you'll begin to trust that strength. You'll begin to trust that stamina, where if you could only run a mile, now after weeks or months on the treadmill, now you can run 5 miles or 6 miles. I hope this is making sense. So it's trust with yourself. The second thing that place that discipline will build trust is with others. And then third place is the trust is with God. So now the question sometimes is asked, hey, Rich, why isn't God put first? Here's why. How do you trust God when you don't know his ways or you can't see him outside of building confidence in his word? So I begin to build confidence in small, manageable ways. And the first way that I build confidence and trust and discipline is I got to trust myself. So many times people break promises to themselves and they rob themselves of the internal desire and energy to accomplish a thing that they said that they want to accomplish. So you got to trust. You got to build trust in yourself. You build trust in others, and then you build build trust with God. Non-negotiables as you go along this path of building trust and discipline. You have to have a list of non-negotiable things. Choose one non-negotiable discipline today. Time block a habit and or aligned action. Do it today. Don't wait. And then understand that consistency beats intensity over time. Consistency builds intensity over time. That's how we're building this path of discipline. So here's another area where you can prove or demonstrate and walk in your authority in the marketplace as a kingdom builders is understand that kingdom builders, we don't negotiate with resistance. When there is resistance, notice I didn't say if you're walking down this path, friend, listen to me, you are going to face resistance. So, but we don't negotiate with resistance. Your mind may tell you, who do you think you are? How do you have the audacity to want to do $10 million in the next 6 months? Who are you? We don't negotiate with that resistance thinking. We manage it. We overcome it. We train through discomfort. This 7-day challenge for some of you may be a little discomfort. I mean, the discipline of 8 o'clock in the morning, taking out 10 or 15 minutes to get this information, or taking time throughout the day to watch the video, right? So that you're training a level of that training is pushing you, moving you through discomfort. And this is where authority is established, when you realize and you understand that you don't negotiate with resistance, that you train through discomfort, you build authority in those areas. And authority, friend, authority is not declared, it's demonstrated. Authority is not declared, it's demonstrated. Kingdom builders, they don't wake up with authority one day because they prayed harder or they believe longer. Authority is built quietly over time through consistent obedience, even under pressure. So we don't negotiate with resistance. What does that mean? Resistance isn't a sign. It's not a sign that you're off track. It's proof you've encountered responsibility. And don't wait for perfect condition, friends, as you're building this authority and you're proving this authority that you had. Yesterday, I talked about how to direct your day, how to legislate your day. Yesterday, I mentioned that Psalms 118:24, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice. You command authority over your day. No day, friend, no day has ever been given the authority over you. But you got to understand that you don't wait for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions are a myth that keep people stuck in preparation mode. Authority, now watch this. Authority grows when you act before you feel ready. Now, in order for me to act before I feel ready, I have to have a discipline, a structure in place, and my confidence and trust has to be at a different level, that I can move on what I see and what I need and what I believe as opposed to what I feel. I can move on what I see and what I need and what I believe as opposed to what I feel. I hope this is making sense. Kingdom builders move with what they have, where they are, when it is required. I love that. Discipline is not restriction. It's alignment, and alignment produces momentum in your life and in the marketplace. Here's a declaration I want to leave you with tonight or today. I lead my life with discipline, not emotion. I choose structure over impulse. My consistency, it builds momentum. So here's some takeaways. This is what I like you to do. Don't wait. Do it now. Do it today. Discipline is how how identity shows up consistently. I want you to do the work. Part of the work today is the self-evaluation questions that I've asked. And then tomorrow on day 5, we're going to build on it. And let me just say this one more time and be clear about that if your life requires consistent motivation just to move forward, friend, then it's not built on structure, it's built on emotion. Today, we're intentional about building a life, building a business, building a ministry, building my employment, your employment. We're building it via discipline and structure. Friend, I hope you found value in this. I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Have an excellent day. Let's get it.